Hello. This is a video about my second DMT trip. I'm kind of doing them in reverse. My third trip that I did alone was a terrifying and horrible experience. But the second trip that I did was quite magical. I ended up doing a form of time traveling with people there to witness. So I met up with my shaman friend. Her and her husband had saged and cedared the place where we were gonna do this in her house in her basement. And it was a very relaxing, beautiful setting. And I could feel the good energy. I had my two best friends with me, and one was recording on his camera. And so, with her guidance and the good energy from between her and her husband, I went on the trip. And when it started, when I took the first toke, my best friend had brought an Alex Gray blanket of the thinking man with the chakras. And if you know Alex Gray, you know what I'm talking about. And it was like the first thing that started tripping me out and made me realize that Alex Gray isn't just painting those colors and those shapes. He's literally taking out of the DMT universe and showing you what it looks like. It's as best as I can put it, really. I became part of that blanket. And I saw jesters. They were all laughing and giggling at me. The colors yellow and red kind of took over the place. A very, very strong yellow and red. Not just like any typical shade. It was a very powerful presence of both those colors. And then I took my second toke. And then sound became my universe. Everything became sound. I realized I was in a basement and I could hear the corners of the walls. And therefore I started thinking room inception. I was in a room within a room within a room within a room within a room of the universe in this basement. And the shaman lady who was guiding me whispered something to her husband, and I heard it as a loud. I heard it loud, and she wasn't even that close to me at all. I looked at my best friend Trent, and he's a Persian dude, half Persian, half British, and he became Genghis Khan. He looked exactly like he had full armor on, full Asian. I don't even know Genghis Khan. Japanese warrior metal suit, and that was crazy. Sounds were amplified, and I kept seeing Buddha, the outline of Buddha, just the outline of the Buddha with the pine cone head, but it was always right up here. So I was trying to move my head back, and my eyes were closed to get the full image of the Buddha, but I could never do it. I went into this trip asking to talk to the blue goddess, by the way. That was my intention, was to see, because when my first trip, when I did it, I saw the blue goddess, and it was such a wonderful, godly feeling of love that I wanted to meet her again, but she didn't end up showing up. So I just kept seeing outlines of the Buddha, which is weird. But the thing that tripped everybody out, the time traveling bit, so I'm lying back on the couch of this place I've never been to before in her basement, and there's a large TV behind me with one of those Nintendo game consoles, the new ones that have 380, 400 games on them. Nothing was turned on, and while I was tripping out with my eyes closed, I immediately saw Donkey Kong come into my whole vision, and very strong and like looking at me like he wanted to hit me with a hammer, even though Mario was the one with the hammer. And I was like, "Get out of here!" I said out loud. I said, "Get out of here, Donkey Kong!" And then I could hear some snickering from the people around me. I didn't open up my eyes, and so that was strange. And then because I saw Donkey Kong, my mind immediately thought up Mario to make sense of this. So I saw Mario, and so lots of vibrant colors and sounds that shook me to the core when somebody moved a chair upstairs just even a little bit. My whole body shook from it. So after this trip, when I came back from that place, it wasn't a full blast off, but when I came back, I started explaining how we all focus too long on negative thoughts, that spending even 3 seconds on a negative thought in this timeline is like spending 30 years or a lifetime on one negative thought in a different timeline, and how it coincides with our consciousness and our emotions in this timeline, if that makes any goddamn sense to anybody. um, and then her husband asked me, "Why'd you say Donkey Kong?" I was like, "Donkey Kong." I didn't even remember at first saying it. I was like, "I don't know." I was saying like peekaboo and stuff. I was like, Donkey Kong. I'm like, I don't know. I haven't even thought of Donkey Kong in like 10 years. And her husband was like, no word of a lie, for the first time in like 10 to 15 years, I played Donkey Kong on that new Nintendo thing that I have. I'm like, the new Nintendo. I didn't even know he had this machine. And he's like, out of the 360 to 400 games that I have, I decided to play Donkey Kong. It was the last game I played. And my friends and I were like, bullshit, no way. He's like, literally, if I turn this TV on right now, you're going to see Donkey Kong is going to be the game that's going to be on. And we're like, okay. And he turned it on, and lo and behold, no word of a lie, Donkey Kong was the game that he last played last night, even the night before, for no reason at all. And so, like, I hadn't thought of Donkey Kong, and I wasn't even a Donkey Kong fan. I'm a Zelda fan. I am a Zelda boy. Donkey Kong was so what I had done is I had tapped into the digital dimension, the video game dimension, the digital universe in the past, and I had pulled out something that had happened in the digital dimension in the past and brought it to the present during my DMT trip. And that tripped the fucking sweetest chocolate out of all of us. We were all tripped out about Donkey Kong. You know, of all things to bring back from a DMT trip, you mention Donkey Kong to people, and people who don't know are going to be like, all right, buddy, that's kind of weird, whatever. But for the people who were there and saw that happen, that is proof of not only time travel, mental time travel, but dimensions and being able to pull things out and bring them into this dimension. I have 4 people besides myself to back me up on this story. I mean, why would anybody lie about a story about Donkey Kong anyways? Um, anyways, that was an amazing experience. Although, I must say that and if ever I do DMT again, I must be surrounded by good people, positive people, but I also want to do it outside. I don't think DMT, for me personally, is an inside drug, or it's not a drug, an inside experience, I should say. It is an outside experience. Because even when you do the DMT outside in the field, there is still a form of claustrophobia because you realize you're in a program. No matter how far up or down you're in a program, you're in something. So, do me a favor if you watch this video the whole way. Can you like my video and maybe even share it to people who want to know more about DMT? That would help me out a lot. Anyways, that's all I got for you, really. That was my second DMT trip. time travel, and Donkey Kong. Like the video. Much love.